Thank you so much, Dipankar. Thank you, Shutapa. You've been too kind. I'm unable to recognize myself after that description and after that verse, really. So, Shutapa, of course, has been our first ever Right India winner for Amish Tripathi. That was the first story that we were all bowled over by, and Shutapa is part of Readomania. That is how we met, and that is how I'm here, I guess, after they were introduced to Right India through her writings. Thank you, Dipankar. I think you have a lovely idea here with Readomania, encouraging so many young writers, so many aspiring writers. That is exactly what we hope to do and are doing perhaps with Right India. And today I'm here to tell you the story of Right India. It's the story of Right India even as it is unfolding. We are all learning from it. I learn as we go along. With each and every entry I learn a lot. When we started off with Right India, we were all, and my team is sitting here as well, we were all very unsure of the response. What would be, what would be people's response? Would they be writing in or not? And we used to swing between the fear that perhaps we would get 2-3 stories and nothing at all after that. And we really were, yes, that's scared. And then suddenly somebody would say, but what if you get thousands? And we would say, no way, nobody's going to be writing so many stories and sending them in every month. We thought of starting off with maybe 1 or 2 authors, and slowly, as it happened, as I kept talking to authors, they were all so enthusiastic. And I really think that this entire idea started because of this, concept of popular literature, with all these authors like Chetan Bhagat, Amish Tripathi, Ashwin Sanghi, Ravi Subramanian and all coming up. They are people who are perhaps surprised at their own success. They are not traditional writers. They all had other work that they did, other professions that they were part of. And then they took to writing and they suddenly surprised themselves. And perhaps in that they have been generous enough to be able to at least try and help others. If people ask them about writing or ask them how did you make it. So they do reach out and they help people, and I discovered this when I spoke to them and tried to make them, I thought it would be tough to get a few authors to come and participate in a venture that had not even started. Of course, the Times of India name always helps, but still. And I realized that not only were they all enthusiastic, they were super excited about the idea of being able to help others to put together their stories, in discovering the next generation of writers. And in fact, every month as we unveil one author after another, they ask me, and they keep calling up and asking, what else can I do? How else can I help out? How else can I get more people to write? What tips can I give? How can I help? Most of them, I'm not saying all. There are 1 or 2 who may not or have not, but almost all are very excited and very enthused about the entire concept. And that's a revelation, that's a huge revelation, because very seldom do you come across people, successful people, who want to take out the time to help others. We have, of course, kept their participation minimal. It's not as if they go through each and every story. My team goes through the stories. And like I said initially, when we were so scared that that we won't get anything, and then suddenly we started with Amish Tripathi, and the very night, we always unveil a story at midnight. We have these things we do with Right India, building little stories around Right India. It's always important to build stories around any event, around anything, because that kind of sticks to people's minds. So every unveiling of a new passage is at midnight of the 6th of a month, and 7th onwards that author starts. Every result is declared on the 15th of a month. That's not necessarily at midnight, but that's on 15th of every month a result is declared. And every contest, the author of the month finishes off the contest on the 30th. And then we kind of extend it a little bit because CrossWord joined hands with us and they wanted us to extend it. So till the 6th, we extend the date. Like you can send it, there's a special email ID, or you can walk into a CrossWord store and hand over your copy there, your story there. So you get from 1st till the 6th again. So today is the 6th. Today we end with Tuhin Sinha's contest and we begin Ravinder Singh. So at midnight tonight his passage will be unveiled. It's all ready, and as soon as we go away from here, my team and I, we will be on our Twitter handles tweeting away like crazy, and it's so exciting. It is wonderful. It's like, I always feel that to start something new gives you so much happiness and excitement, and we are all thrilled, and we've come together as a team as never before. It's just such a binding factor for all of us to be doing something new, something encouraging, and the enthusiasm of the participants. Like I told you, when we unveiled Amish's passage at midnight, next morning we already had 3-4 stories in. And that was a shock. That was a shock that at 12 you unveil and morning you have 3-4 stories, and then some of us said, what if there's nothing else after this? Listen, no, it can't be. And then there were thousands and thousands of stories pouring in. And now I was at the other extreme where I was like really very worried about what to do. And to tell you the truth, for 10 days, and my team will bear witness to that, for 10 days I've sat stunned, not knowing what to do. I really did not know what to do because we were not prepared for this kind of a deluge. And then I spoke to a lot of universities, I spoke to their vice chancellors and tried to get them to help us out. And I said, look, your English department, your teachers, we could all train them, they could tell them what we are looking for. So if you could just help us out. And most of them were, they really wanted to associate with Times of India. And they wanted to get associated with it, but they were not able to put in that work because sessions had just started. And the teachers said that we don't have enough resources right now to be able to do that. So what next? What do we do now? My team was there, but we needed more people, we needed more hands, and it wouldn't have been fair because I was very particular about this, that not a single story, and this is something I keep repeating to the team again and again, almost every day till they are probably sick of me, not a single story must go unread. Not a single story should go half read. So you have to read from end to end. Even if you think a story is bad, you have to read it from one end to the other because you never know, you might discover a gem in there. So that is something I was very particular about. So what we did is we hired people. We looked around and we hired people who we trained them, and we told them how to, we have a person in charge of that particular team who is also here with us today. So then we trained them and we gave them a certain set of criteria. I'll share some of it with you in a while. And told them that this is what we are looking for in each author's stories. We have a set of rules every month. I think, I just got into the story because I assume that most of you know about Write India, and you know that we have 11 authors who tied up with us. And the 11 authors are Amish Tripathi, Chetan Bhagat, Ashwin Sanghi, Ravi Subramanian, Ravinder Singh, Tohin Sinha, Preeti Shenoy, Madhuri Banerjee, yes, Anita Nair, who insisted she comes last because she said she's the literary author and the others are popular fiction, which is true again. And Durjoy Datta, who have I left out? Have I left out? Jayashree Mishra. So I believe I've gone through the 11. So we have these 11 authors with us. We've already gone through Amish, Chetan, Ravi Subramaniam, Ashwin, Preeti Shenoy and Tuhin we finished today. So that's the 6th author. And we are out with a set of results for 4 authors. And the 5th, that is Preeti's result, will be out on the 15th of this month. Now, which means that every author we have so the author sets out a passage, gives a passage. Based on that passage, the participants can write in their stories. You begin with the passage, end with it, or put it in the middle wherever. But you have to weave in the passage into a story. And you send us a story of about 1500 to 2500 words. And then my team starts looking at that. So there's one level where you just go through, where my team goes through the entire stories and puts them into a yes, no, and maybe box. And the no box is then cursorily looked over by the team head, and the maybe is looked at more carefully, and in case there are yeses there, they are put into the yes. Then it comes to the next level of editors, and those editors go through the yeses, and from there they take out the exceptional stories, which could be a huge number or they could be a small number depending on how many or what kind of participants have sent in stories for that particular author. And we do see a huge change, and we have some very interesting statistics which some of them I'm going to share with you. I won't tell you exactly numbers that each author has attracted, that would be unfair to the authors. But I can tell you that, of course, all of you will know Chetan Bhagat attracted the maximum number. I won't tell you who attracted the least till now, but Chetan Bhagat got the maximum number of entries. And after that, the stories come to me. The truly exceptional ones come to me and to the author. And the author and I then go through those stories and we select our top 10 winners. And the author personally selects the top 3. in consultation with me, of course. And that's how we reach the top 10 and the top 3. So I have my core team which helps me get to those exceptional stories from where we pick up the 10 and the top 3. So that is how we declare our winners. So 4 authors, that means we've got like 40 winners, and there are some winners who are sitting here. Would you put up your hands, please, all winners who are sitting here? How many of you are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you so much for coming here, and you must all meet me after this, please. I would love to talk to you. I have not met most of them. I'd love to talk to you and maybe understand from you what it takes to be a winner. So, and I hope you're participating in the rest of the contest also, and not just stopped there. I was just talking to Shotapa, and I believe she's kind of just participated in one more, and after that she's resting on her laurels. But I'd like you all to participate for all. You know, writing is pretty intimidating to a lot of people, and yet everybody wants to write. Why do we all want to write? We all want to write because we all have stories to tell. We all have stories in us. We want to share those stories. We want to talk about them. And sharing those stories with other people gives you a kind of a vindication. It makes you feel that, you know, we are all the same. There's no difference in my emotions, the emotions that I go through from those that another person goes through. And with education and with global exposure, our levels of confidence are really increasing over the years. And as the levels of confidence increase, there's that need for self-expression. You want to express yourself. So that is what Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp is all about. All the time you want to talk about your feelings, you want to talk about what's happening, you want to talk about what you're seeing, give your commentary on odd, even, or whatever is happening out there. And so this, in a way, actually, it is like, you know, it's a big turnaround for media also, having worked in print media all my life. I can tell you that there was a time when, you know, we were the kings and the queens, and red carpets were rolled out for us. And there's a huge difference today, because we are not the ones who are making news today. It's you people. It's everybody else who's making news. Today we depend on Twitter a lot for the news that we pick up and put into our newspapers. Television depends on Twitter a lot. If you notice that whether it is Arnab Goswami or Barkha or whoever, at the end of the day when they have their debates in the evening, they will have called people whose tweets they would have picked up. And the smart people know out there how to market themselves, so they'll push out the provocative tweets. And those are the guys who are picked up for those discussions and debates and called across. So the real power is in your hands. It's in social media. So where news is made, the first news breaks happen on social media, and it's all there now. We also talk about Right India a lot through social media. It's on Twitter that we introduce our author of the month. It's on Twitter that we break the news about the winners. We announce the winners on Twitter. So, you know, that is how important social media is. So we all have this thing of, like, you know, expressing ourselves all the time, and you want to do that, and you want to share. What good is a story that you know of, or what good is an idea that has not been shared with somebody else, that has not been debated with someone else, and somebody else can't say, hey, how smart, what a wonderful idea you have, and what a beautiful story you did. So now, when you feel that need of sharing your stories, because stories can actually cement that bond and give you that feeling of connectedness throughout the world, of how we are all connected, our emotions are the same, love, hate, anxiety, anger, happiness, ecstasy, whatever we feel. There can be nothing more reassuring than knowing that the feelings that we go through, the anxieties that we go through, are shared by other people as well. So you're not alone in this world, you're connected to other people. And when you're connected to other people, you're able to feel that, you feel very reassured about that. So stories are a great way of connecting with others. If you notice, if it is a fairy tale told in Africa, or a fairy tale told here, or any story for that matter, the venue will change, the characters will change, their characteristics will change, but what does not change is the characteristic of the villain, the personality of the villain and the personality of the hero or the heroine will more or less be the same. The qualities that they have, the negatives and the positives remain the same. So that is the great connection that stories bring about. Stories engage you and they take you to another realm. They are able to touch your feelings, so you're able to retain those stories. They remain with you for a long, long time. You don't forget a story easily. Facts and figures. We can be bombarded with facts and figures, but we don't remember them all. The brain will only accept and remember those which have a story attached to them. For instance, if I tell you right now that about 8 to 10 80-year-olds wrote for Right India, and more than 1,500 15 to 25-year-olds wrote in the very first month for Right India. You may not remember this, you may forget. But if I tell you that the 80-year-olds wrote only for Amish Tripathi, all 80-year-olds wrote for Amish Tripathi. And if I tell you that the 15-year-olds, not 15 to 25, 15-year-olds really, 15-year-olds all wrote for Chetan Bhagat. Now that is a story. That's a story you'll remember, because it tells you that 80-year-olds, Amish Tripathi, you know, they are mythology, so they probably know their mythology better and they're able to research, have the patience to do that, so they wrote for there. And then you look at, so there are very other interesting facts like that as well. Like for instance, for Ravi Subramanian, who had infidelity as his theme, so there are more men than women who wrote for that. And very interestingly, the maximum number of stories came in from which city? Delhi. So that is a very telling fact. So you know, these interesting facts and tales, these are stories, these are all stories which are attached to a fact or a figure. This will help cement the fact and figure in your mind. So stories are all important. We all have stories in us and we want to tell them, and that is where Right India comes in. Because we are providing you with this unique platform where you get to write with some of the most popular literary figures today. And if you win, then the person who is the first winner gets a Kindle, and apart from that also gets mentorship by the author, and we will have a Right India camp later where all the winners will be taken. But I also have to tell you, and this is again something, I'm just being very honest, something that I am still thinking through. I want to do something for all winners, and I want to do something for all participants going ahead from here, which I have been talking about on Twitter, and I've been saying that there are some ideas we have for which we are looking for sponsors. We have to get the right sponsors for those. Once we get that, I want to reach out, and so that I'm able to, we are able to reach out and help everybody who participated and who's asking me today on Twitter, where did I go wrong? Why was I not a winner? Why did I not win? So it's very difficult for me or for my team to respond to all these people and be able to tell them what was wrong, because maybe there was nothing wrong. There are hundreds and thousands of beautiful stories out there. They are really, really good stories, and every month it's a challenge and it's very difficult to decide who the top winners are going to be. So somebody who says, oh, I lost, could have been the 11th, could have been the 12th, you don't know. So people tell me, why don't you give out a list of top 20? I can even give out a list of top 50. I can even give out a list of top 100. But how does that help anybody? It may just put off the one who was 101st. But that's still the one who's 101st, his or her story also may be just as good. You know, and it's, so to a great extent we have tried to bring in total objectivity into this. We have our rules and regulations. The author also gives certain rules based on which we look at the stories and decide which stories are the winners. But you cannot ever rule out an element of subjectivity. You just can't. In all honesty, you cannot rule out an element of subjectivity. Maybe at the base level, maybe at the second level, or the final level, anywhere. So I would say, and I keep saying that again and again, everybody who participates in Right India is a winner already. You're a winner the moment you send in your story to Right India, because you have already written a story. How many of us can say that I've written a short story? You've written a short story. When you participate, you have a story to your name. And those who participate, for all 11 authors, at the end of the year will have 11 short stories to their name. They have a book in hand. So each and every participant is already a winner in my eyes. And I do not want to let go of these winners. I do not want to let go of these stories. And I will definitely do something about it. I may not have the wherewithal right now, but we would like to reach out to every winner. We've been talking to Dipankar as well. And perhaps we will set up some Right India workshops together. We have been thinking about it. We're just looking for the right support for that. And then we'll be able to reach out in different cities to most winners. I was telling you about the criteria that we have for selection of stories. But before that, I think I'll give you the statistics, which are quite interesting. So in 6 months, we've gone through 6 authors. We have around between 18,000 to 20,000 stories in with us already. And that is a huge number, 18,000 to 20,000 stories. So this I've already told you, most number of people who are aged above 79 years have written for Amish Tripathi. And 1,500 people between age of 15 and 20 or something wrote for Chetan Bhagat. Engineers and doctors seem to be mostly interested in writing thrillers because most of them wrote for Ashwin Sanghi. Then I've already told you the infidelity figures, where Delhi seems to be the most interested, and they win the race in the maximum number of stories that they sent us. Also, the maximum number of homemakers sent in stories for Ravi Subramaniam. Infidelity again. So there are those guys writing, and obviously there are the women they are participating in. For Tuhin Sinha, we had 52 entries between the ages of 10 to 15, out of which 49 were women and only 3 men. So now I don't know what it is about Tuhin Sinha. In fact, he's here in Delhi today and he was supposed to be joining us, but then I think he got caught up. Till now, out of the top 10 for the 4 author results that we've got out, we have 24 female winners and 16 male winners. So more women are winning. It's not because it's an all-women's team. That is looking at the stories, because we try not to look at the names and the, we just go through the stories. But Chetan Bhagat, interestingly, had all male winners. All male winners, not a single woman. Yeah. So, city-wise, from the top 10, from Mumbai we have 9 winners, top 10 meaning top 10 for 4, which means 40 winners. Mumbai we had 9 winners, Delhi had 7 winners, Kolkata had 4 winners, although Kolkata has sent us the maximum number of stories. Between all cities, Kolkata has sent us the maximum stories, but we have 4 winners from Kolkata. Bangalore 3, Pune 1, we have 1 from Singapore. Although NRIs are not allowed to write, but this guy had just gone to Singapore for a short stint and is coming back or something. Lucknow 1, Chennai 2, Gandhinagar 1, Sweden 1, Dharwad 1, Meerut 1, Odisha 1, Ahmedabad 1. So profession-wise, our participants, the winners from the top 10 range from a doctor to IT professionals, to entrepreneurs, to lawyers, to cabin crew, and a student. Age-wise, our winners range from 14 years to 58 years old. Last month we had a 14-year-old winner, and we just didn't know whether to believe that she'd written the story or not. And we called her up, we spoke to her parents, we spoke to her, and we had to reassure ourselves that she really wrote the story herself. And I believe she's participated again. My team is telling me that her second story for the next author, Preeti Shenoy, is good as well, but not a winner. But it's good as well. So she wrote it definitely. And we asked her that it's a story on infidelity. It's a story on, infidelity. And how could she have written it? He said, no, she checked with us and told us this is what the story is about, but I'm still going to write it, and we are okay with that.